Hello out there, you YouTubers, songwriters, musicians, and more out in YouTube land. Hi everybody, welcome back to the studio. If you're a guitar player and you're looking to try something new, you might want to try Gypsy Jazz. Now this style of guitar is refreshing, it's intricate, and Mr. George Tirpko, he's going to tell us all about it and show us his Gypsy Jazz guitar. And that's coming up next on Roy's Studio Adventures. Today we're talking about Gypsy Jazz guitar with the seasoned guitarist, George Tirpko. Hello, George, and welcome back to the studio.
Great to be here. Really glad to have a chance to talk a little bit about something that I've become impassionately involved with, this guitar and this style of swing guitar playing.
George, can you tell us about Gypsy Jazz? I have a few questions, like what is Gypsy Jazz?
Gypsy Jazz originated with the very famous Django Reinhardt in the 30s and 40s, who was a gypsy. He was a French-Belgian gypsy. And they borrowed a lot from American jazz and swing. You'll hear it in the playing of Freddie Green and Duke Wellington Band. They just absolutely loved Satchmo. And that kind of swing, and even crossed over into Dixieland a little bit. So they borrowed a lot and then originated a lot of their own expressions in the style. And of course, Django Reinhardt was a prolific writer, so he wrote quite a few of the standards for them.
Who's the foremost guitar player since 1930?
Single foremost, a couple of them are really carrying the torch of Gypsy Jazz playing. Eddie Lang was one, absolutely. Charlie Christian borrowed an awful lot. Among the more modern players, you'll find the Rosenberg family, and there are three of them that are still performing. They're doing a lot of performing in Europe, and they're coming over to the States now as well. Eddie Lang harkens back to probably one of the first.
So what is a gypsy guitar?
Gypsy Jazz guitar is uniquely different. It's still a stringed instrument, of course, and it's a guitar. The scale length from the nut to the bridge is about 1.5 inches longer than what you would find on a Gibson guitar. So the string length is quite a bit different. The tension is different. The strings that are used are different. I get these are French-made strings, and they're called Gitane strings. Alvarez is the company, and an American company brings them in, and I have to buy them through the States, so I get whacked with American exchange as well. The bracing is different. This is called a grande bouche, a big mouth, or we call it a D-mouth guitar, and they have the petite bouche, which is a smaller, rounder hole. What's important about them is that they are very, very loud and projecting. So you get that real swing, kind of a heavy, emulates the drummer in the snare.
I got another question for you here. What are the stylistic differences in style from blues, jazz, and Dixieland?
What a great question. For example, in blues, and your beginning chords, there's an A7. The gypsy players, or even an A minor 7. Gypsy players would play an A minor 6. And then stylistic difference in the strumming, too. If you can imagine, or hearing the large band behind them, a lot of it was dance music. So stylistically, that grip is really different. And even over the regular grip, they would play an A7 like that, and if they were improvising, they would play a D minor harmonic line. Over an A7, something like that. So those sounds are really quite... Charlie Christian wouldn't play a line like that. The Gypsy Jazz guys would.
Many movies in the past, I remember hearing, those were the soundtracks.
They were.
Just loved them. Being a guitar player especially.
Yeah, I know.
Just loved them.
Yeah. And there are at least 2 commercial American films in the last 20 years harkening back to that time.
We're going to ask you, if you don't mind, play some tunes for us.
All right. So Django Reinhardt, he wrote a very, very famous solo piece that's also redone in a band format. But a band format would be 2 or 3 guitar players, an upright bass player, probably not a drummer. And the English translation is Clouds, and the French name of the song is Nuages, Nuages. Sounds a little bit like this.
Very, very full and brilliant at the same time guitar.
It is. The longer scale and the bracing and how this box is made is substantially different. If you were to compare this to the Martin that I played, the sound is almost 180 degrees different. Both beautiful guitars, both beautiful sounds, but quite different.
Do you have anything more up-tempo, just to show the contrast on this?
Sure. Maybe I'll demonstrate that it's called La Pompe, the rhythm that is prominent in the Gypsy Jazz. And one of the very famous tunes is called Minor Swing. And I can't do the melody as well as the chords, so I'll play the intro,
Yeah.
which is really simple. So you hear the very different strum.
This guitar is called, I know you probably mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
but what is it called?
This is the D or Grande Bouche spruce top. Maple neck. Maybe I'll just unhook myself here a little bit, and you can perhaps see this on your microphones. This is a walnut neck, and it's what they call a D-shaped neck, which is revolutionary. You can't find D-shaped necks on any other guitar. There are baseball bat necks and C and compound radius necks. And this particular guitar is designed and endorsed by John Jorgensen from the Helicasters, who's a very, very well-known American guitar player, multi-talented, multi-style, multi-genre player. And he spent a good length of time with the Elton John Band and with a famous guitar instrumental group called the Helicasters. And John Jorgensen endorses this guitar. He has his endorsement with Gitane, the company in China that produces this guitar. And in my opinion, it is a fine, fine instrument.
Is there a website that you get these at, or?
Just you could simply djangobooks.com, DJANGO books.com is the American company, and it's a one-man shop, and he runs this shop where I get my strings. He sells guitars, and his cheapest guitar on there, because he's got a lot of the European-made guitars, his cheapest guitar is probably $5,000 or $8,000 American.
Here comes the big question.
And then the other end is $45,000, $50,000, $60,000 guitars.
Oh. Yeah. George, thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate every time you come out here, taking the time to be on the show.
I'm happy to do it for you, Roy. I love guitar music. I love sharing what I've learned and passing it on to other people, and it's just fun.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Until next time.